This particular story is sending insane chills down my spine. Now, this incident took place in Abeokuta, Ogun State, Nigeria, where 4 teenagers gruesomely murdered a 20-year-old girl, Sophia Kende, for money ritual. Now, this story is particularly shocking because this crime was committed by teenagers. Sophia Kende was a 20-year-old girl who lived and schooled in Calabar, Cross River State, Nigeria, where she lived with her uncle before returning to Abeokuta, where her mother and her other siblings reside. For the next 3 years after she returned to Abeokuta, she trained and graduated as a fashion designer. And within those 3 years, she also met this Balogun Mustakim boy who would later participate majorly in her gruesome killing. Welcome back, everybody. My name is Tonia Udenna, and if you're just tuning in for the first time, welcome to the family. Let's just pause for a second and go hit that subscribe button or that follow button, depending on which platform you're watching on. And also hit the notification bell so you can always get an alert when I post a new video. And thank you so very much. That means a whole lot to me. Like I said in my previous video, makeup calms me down a lot when I tell these stories, and I hope it does the same for you. And I also hope that you're going to enjoy watching how I got this look. So this Mustakim boy had dated Sophia for a few months during the second and third quarter of 2021, because reports said that they had broken up in September 2021. Now we don't know exactly what happened, but Sophia's family had made it clear to Balogun Mustakim, that they didn't want him around their home anymore, and they also didn't want him near their daughter/sister. For some reason, they wanted them to put an end to the relationship. So after Sophia had broken up with Mustakim, he must have become very bitter and vengeful, obviously over the breakup, because he had approached this new friend of his, Soliu Majakodomi, and asked him if he would be interested in a relationship with Sophia, which was very weird. So Soliu said, "Sure, why not? If you're okay with the idea, then I'm totally fine with it." So they both agreed. So Mustakim gave Soliu Sophia's number. So Soliu went ahead and called Sophia, and Sophia had agreed to go out on a date with him and also agreed to be his girlfriend. A few days later, Mustakim persuaded Soliu to ask Sophia over to his place. So Soliu called Sophia and asked if she could visit him, and she said yes, and eventually came over. So it turned out that Mustakim was working angles to get Sophia to become very comfortable around her new boyfriend Soliu, so that he could execute his ultimate plan of killing her for money ritual. So like most other teenagers, this Mustakim boy surfs the internet pretty regularly. So he had come across this post on Facebook that was teaching people how to get rich quick by using a human head and several other items to perform a blood money ritual. And this post was where this whole inspiration was coming from. He had seen it online and he wanted to get rich quickly. So it seemed this boy was angry and vengeful at Sophia and her family for breaking up their relationship. And I strongly believe the family already saw that this boy was a no good, so they did everything possible to keep him away from their daughter. I mean, who would blame them, right? So I believe that they figured that the boy was distracting her a lot and they wanted her to focus more on her future, so they had to find a way to sever the relationship between them. But Mustakim, who is literally a child who cannot control his emotions, had to find a way to punish her and her family for breaking their relationship. And he must have thought that they didn't like him because he didn't have money. But hey, newsflash, you're just a bloody teenager. You're not supposed to have achieved all your dreams and be wealthy yet. You're not supposed to have money yet. This is the time you're supposed to be working on your dreams and deciding what you want to do with your life. Feel me? So this boy Instead of having a dream like everybody else and chasing a dream like everybody else, he decided to be desperate, vengeful, and hateful. He really wanted to hurt that girl's family. I mean, because everything he did was premeditated. He really wanted to hurt them. So this Mr. Kim boy pretty much had his entire plan worked out in his head, because he shared his plan with his buddy, Soliu. He told him everything about how he wanted to use Sophia's head for money ritual as punishment for breaking up with him. And when he told Soliu, Soliu totally freaked. He freaked out and he totally objected to it. And this was because he had come to start developing some kind of likeness for Sophia. But you know, freaking out and objecting is not enough. He needed to have reported to somebody, because Master Kim managed to convince Soliu that if they both completed the ritual, they were both going to get so rich that none of them would even remember that they had killed a girl for money ritual. And so Soliu agreed. And they both decided that they were going to kill her on her next visit. So on Saturday, January the 29th, 2022, Sophia and her boyfriend Soliu had made plans to see each other later that day. So Sophia, like most helpful African children, had done her laundry, cleaned the house, went to the market, shopped for foodstuff, and even came home to make dinner. So when she was done with dinner, she just kind of excused herself and told her mom and her sister that she wanted to go out. Now, whether she told her mom that she was going to visit her boyfriend, I'm not sure, but she just excused herself and then went out. And at this time, it was already 7 p.m. So according to Sophia's elder sister, she had called Sophia around 8:30 p.m. This was about 90 minutes after she left home or thereabout. So she had called her to find out when she was coming home. And Sophia had said she was on her way. Well, this typically would mean that she was about leaving, that she was about to be on her way. But she actually was not on her way at that time. She was still with her boyfriend Soliu in his place. So after another hour, the sister calls her again, but her phone was switched off. At Sophia's boyfriend's place, or wherever it was they met, I can't stop wondering if this boy lived alone or he lived with his parents, because there was nothing in the reports that actually hinted on that. So anyway, when Sophia arrived at her boyfriend's place, it was this, according to the reports, it was this tiny room that had a tiny mattress in it, a picture on the wall, a very worn out picture on the wall, and some kind of Arabic writings on that same wall. And I just kept wondering, was that actually the boy's place? Was that where he lived? Because from the report, the place sounded very creepy. This house is a 7-bedroom bungalow, and that had 5 graves in the front yard. And there were 3 occupants that occupied 1 room each. And Sophia and her boyfriend were in the tiniest room in the most abandoned part of the building. Now I kept wondering, why was she so comfortable in a place like this? Because this place, reading about it totally creeped me out. Why was she so comfortable there? Was it a place she already knew about because she lived in the same village with them? Or was that the place she always came to visit him? I don't know. There was nothing in the report that actually stated that. So Sophia and Soliu spent some time in that room, and they also had sexual intercourse while they were together. And moments after they were done, Mr. Kim just walks in with a cutlass and hacks Sophia by the neck, and she fell to the floor. She was jerking and twitching, and about 2 minutes later, she just stopped. She was dead. And then her boyfriend Soliu finishes the job by severing her head with the same cutlass that Mr. Kim had cut her with. They also cut off a piece of flesh from her thigh and then put the rest of her body in a sack and tied it up. Then they removed her SIM card from her phone and tossed it into a nearby bush. That was why when her sister was calling her, her phone was already turned off. It turned out she was already dead at the point when her sister called her the second time. So according to the instruction in this blood money ritual video that Mustaqim had downloaded, they're supposed to put the head in a clay pot and then take it to a different location where they were going to burn it. They weren't supposed to burn it at the same place where they killed her, you know. So this was what they did. They moved the head to a different nearby location. Now, when they were killing Sofiat, you know, some of the neighbors, some of the people who lived around there, I don't know if there were other buildings around the house, but I'm assuming that it's one or all the occupants who resided in that bungalow. Anyway, someone had heard the crying and the shouting and sounds of what seemed or what sounded like a butcher hacking an animal or cutting up an animal or something like that. So they decided to call the vigilante. So when the watchmen arrived, they found these boys already burning the head. I mean, the head was like, I don't know, like really badly burnt, you know, like really badly burnt beyond recognition. The process of trying to catch them, Sully ran away. Now, the thing that's a bit confusing is that at the scene of the crime, they found 4 boys. Now, I'm not sure how the other 2 boys were involved in the whole thing, but I'm sure they would have helped out in some way, but this wasn't stated in the report. But anyway, there were 4 boys, there were 4 of them. So 3 boys were first arrested. That's Mustaqim and the 2 other boys who were not really mentioned. So at that very spot, Mustaqim told them that Sully had gotten away. In fact, the vigilante men didn't even realize there was a 4th boy because it was pretty dark. It was really dark at night when they were carrying out this hideous crime. So they were arrested and taken to the police station. Now, Sully was not found until the next day, but he was eventually found and also arrested. So immediately the police started questioning the boys. They all confessed to the crime. They held absolutely nothing back. I mean, that was why this report was very, very, very detailed, because they told the police every single thing, where they had tossed stuff and hidden stuff and buried stuff. They confessed every single thing. And that, my people, is the end of this video. I hope you all enjoyed watching me do my makeup, because I had great fun just doing it. Thank you so much, and I'll see you on my next video. Bye.